Param vidyate Sri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Kṛṣṇa. Welcome back to another Bhagavad-gita class with me, Prahlad. Today we are doing Bhagavad-gita 317. Checking out, it's quite cold here in Taranaki. It was like 2 or 1 degrees at night. It's ridiculous. Hopefully it'll get warmer as time goes on. But getting straight into it. Yastu ātma-ratir eva syād ātma-tṛptaś cha mānavaḥ ātmani eva cha santuṣṭaḥ kāryaṁ na vidyate. Vidyate, yeah. One who, two, but ātma-ratiḥ takes pleasure, eva certainly, syāt remains, ātma-tṛptaḥ self-illuminated, cha and, mānavaḥ a man, ātmani in himself, eva only, cha and, santuṣṭaḥ perfectly satiated, tasya his, kāryam duty, na does not, vidyate exist. One who is, however, taking pleasure in the self, who is illuminated in the self, who rejoices in and is satiated with the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. One who is, however, taking pleasure in the self, who is illuminated in the self, who rejoices in and is satisfied with the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. A person who is fully Kṛṣṇa conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness no longer has any duty to perform due to his being Kṛṣṇa conscious. All impieties within is instantly cleansed, and effect of many thousands of yajña performance. An effect of many thousands of yajña's performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident in his eternal position in the relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligation to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Kṛṣṇa conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. There we go. Sort of short. Looking at the changes, there are a few in the translation, none in the purport. So, one who is, however, taking pleasure in the self has been changed to, but for one who takes pleasure in the self. If we look at the previous translation, my dear Arjuna, a man who does not follow this prescribed Vedic system of sacrifice certainly leads to a life of sin. For a person delighting only in the senses lives in vain. And then, as the Bhagavad Gita is a conversation, the next one says, one who is, however, taking pleasure in the self. So yes, that does continue on the conversation. But for one who takes pleasure in the self. One who is, however, So it's going from a, you got this however inside the commas, which makes it a little bit more difficult to read. But for one who takes pleasure, one who is, however, taking pleasure in the self. Is there a in the self? Nava. What does it say in the manuscript? Man. Interesting. Because in the translation, there's no I'll scroll up. There's no mention of man in the translation, but it's in the word for word. That might be why there's been a change to in the self. It would make more sense. There's no comments for the changes in translation. But yeah, they've taken out the however. It does make it easier to read. Does it go closer to the manuscripts? One who is, however. No, it does not. Who's who is illuminated in the self, who rejoices in and is satisfied with the self only. That has been changed to whose human life is one of self-realization and who is satisfied in the self only. They've changed who is illuminated in the self to whose human life is one of self-realization. Okay. Illuminated in the self, that was a bit when I read it, I'm like, yeah, what is that? Illuminated in the self. But yeah, self-realization does make sense. And I do now that I've read the second edition, I do understand where it says illuminated in the self. You have the lights shining on to the self and you can see it all. And yeah, it's basically self-realization. Satisfied with the self only, satisfied in the self only. Well, they've added who, so they couldn't use with, and who is satisfied and is satisfied. Yeah, I guess they're just trying to say what is satisfied. Who rejoices in and is satisfied with the self only, and who is satisfied in the self only. So it says whose human life and then who is satisfied. Well, here it's a bit, yeah. So yeah, it's just not going closer to Prabhupada. And satisfied in the matter of self only. On account of his self-realization. Why does it say illuminated in the self? Clearly says self-realization here. Self-realization of human life and is satisfied in the matter of self only. Fully satiated. For him there is nothing as duty. Well, here, it says him. So, that could be the connection to man. Huh. Interesting. How it's changed from the manuscript to the first edition to the second edition. One who is, however, taking pleasure in the self on account of his self-realization of human life and is satisfied in the matter of self only, fully satiated. For him, there is nothing as duty. Hmm. I do like this one. Um, well, when he says, "For him, there's nothing as duty," uh, not to be hypocritical or anything, but I would change that nothing as duty, because that doesn't make exact sense. For him, there is no duty. Oh, what does it say here? Yeah, for him there is no duty. For him there is no duty. For him there's nothing as duty. Yeah. Well, those are the changes. Not much there. Talking about the actual purports, actual verse. Yeah. Uh, One who is, however, taking pleasure in the self, who is self-illuminated, who is illuminated in the self. So, who is self-realized, as the second edition says. Yeah, and the purport describes that a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness has all of their impieties cleansed instantly. Um, just Yeah. So, it says a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness will have all their impieties cleansed instantly. An effect of many thousands of yajña performances. An effect of many thousands of yajña. Ah. I get what it's saying. I was reading it as an effect of many, and then I was reading as a split clause, but it's not. It will be instantly cleansed. Many thousands of yajña performances. That doesn't make sense. But it's an effect of many thousands of yajña performances. It's repetition. Saying many. Talking about a lot. But I wasn't reading it like that. Okay, I get it. Yeah. And then it also says such a Kṛṣṇa conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. Yeah, that's interesting because that for me that brings up the question: is it a symptom or a result of such self-realization and being a Kṛṣṇa conscious person? When I say is it a symptom, is it a cause or a symptom? There we go. Is that before you become a self-realized Kṛṣṇa conscious person, you become no longer interested in the material activities, or is it you become Kṛṣṇa conscious and then you realize that you're no longer interested in material activities? It could be either or. Yeah, I find that an interesting question. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and thus he has no longer any obligations to the Vedic junctions. So yeah, it's saying that once you become a person who is fully Kṛṣṇa conscious, basically all of the stuff in the Vedas are not to say useless, but they're not used anymore. No obligations to Vedic injunctions. So there might be I'm not sure of any examples off the top of my head. But, there might be stuff in the Vedas that tell you what to do, what yajñas to perform and stuff. But a person who's fully Kṛṣṇa conscious has no obligations to Vedic injunctions. Actually, I might be just talking some random. What actually is Vedic injunctions? Huh. Yeah, so it's basically the Vedic spiritual library. Yeah. Okay. Um, Talking about a contemporary application. Um, hmm. It says an effective many thousands of yajña performances, and in the age of Kali, a couple verses back, it was talking about the yajña prescribed by Lord Chaitanya in the age of Kali being the Sankirtan yajña, and the Sankirtan yajña is particularly easiest or easier to perform than other yajñas, and when it says many thousands of yajña performances, someone could easily rack up many thousands of yajña performances doing Sankirtan over the years. Wouldn't be that hard. Um, kirtan, chanting, prasadam distribution, all that sort of stuff. And you know, all impieties are cleansed through these yajñas. So, doing kirtan, chanting, prasadam, sankirtan. That Lord Chaitanya has given us this yajña. Yeah, it's pretty easy. uh, yeah, and that is um the way to being Krishna consciousness, performing those yajñas. What else? Yeah, going back to is it a symptom or a cause of being a Krishna conscious person? One way to identify someone who is Krishna conscious um, is that they're no longer interested in material activities, no longer take pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. So, you can, if you wanted to say, oh, I'm Krishna conscious because I don't have um, these interests in material activities, or he's Krishna conscious because he doesn't have interest in those material activities, then the opposite is also true. Someone who is interested in those material activities like wine, women, and similar infatuations um is not Krishna conscious. Yeah, that is basically what it says, which I'll pull it up. There we go. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities, no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. I had to read it again because it was so nice. Yeah. So those are the applications. Moving on to the New Zealand version, the Tereo Mori. Here we go. I'm learning how to read Tereo, and how to pronounce it, through reading these translations, but it is done by ChatGPT, which there might be some people like, oh, he speaks like someone from like a redneck, or no, not a redneck, like someone from the mountains. Like they don't speak the same sort of dialect. The country bumpkins. Yeah. Well, I live in the country, so maybe I'm the bumpkin now. Anyway, so hieo mo te tarangata e wiwi koa ana I e roto e te waiaro he ora tangata tene o te wakatutu ki taranga ai e ia ano a e wano uh, Hmm. I know, in Tereo, I remember having a discussion about this before. There's no F. So, the sound that you would make is done by, I think, WH. Um, but I've been reading it as wa. I think it's like foi. Baka. Yeah, no, I think I was reading that. So this is Banua. Yeah, that to me that almost sounds like the word for family. Oh no, Banua. But I think it means something else in here when I brushed over before. So Banua anate Banua ai roto te waiaro anake kua wano wanoe mo mona kaore he mahi. Woo! Here we go. I'm getting better every single time. So, hioi but more for te the singular. Tangata person. E verb initiator. Okay. Huh. We to get to obtain. It's interesting. There's a verb initiator. I wonder if you could say we to get or to obtain without the verb initiator. Say it is not a verb. I don't think you can. Anyway, goa, joy, pleasure. Ana, continuous tense marker. E, I, it's I. I, in, roto, inside. I, in, te, the singular. Waiaro, self. He is a ora, life. Tangata, human. Tiene, this. O, of. Sorry, I'm scrolling. I'm just trying to. This is the way that they have the word for it in the Bhagavad-gita is more of a lengthways, but here you gotta scroll down for each little word. O, of. Te, the singular. Waka, tutu, kitanga, realization, achievement. I, in, a, the singular. I, self, him. Ano, only, alone. In, e, verb initiator. I like that verb initiator. Wanua, being born, arising. Ana, continuous tense marker. Te, the singular. Wanua, satisfaction. I, in, roto, inside. I, in, te, the singular. Again. Waero, self. Anake, only, alone. Gua has past tense maker. Wano, be satisfied. Wanui, fully, broadly. Mona, for him. Kaore, there is not. He, an indefinite article. Not sure what indefinite article means. Mahi, duty. There we go. Now if we plug the translation that ChatGPT has graciously given us, if anyone knows any fluent Tereo speakers that would want to come on and do some of this translation work, yeah, tag him, hit him up, be like, yo, these guys looking for some help. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to have that done, either live or as a video. Interesting. Good job, me, for thinking of that. So, the following text is in Te Reo Mori. Here's the translation. However, for the person who finds joy in self-control, this is a human life of self-fulfillment, and the family that is born solely of self-control is widely born for him. Is widely born. For him, there is no work. Well, a little bit off the mark. And the family that is born solely in self-control. What does it say? And rejoices in and is satisfied with the self-control. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit off. But it's there. I do enjoy, learning new languages and stuff like that. 'Cause I've previously attempted to learn Spanish. But I've sort of stopped with the pronunciation, and then I just sort of gave up. Yeah. So I don't roll my R's, which Spanish is a lot of R rolling. But I don't, so it just sounds not very good, according to my teachers. But yes. So to finish off, we'll go back to the Purports, the original. Looking fly. I'm wearing my favorite hoodie. Got a little frog on it. Got a whole bunch of frogs on the back. You guys interested? Yeah. I like it. Feel nice. So, Yastvit ātma-ratir eva syād ātma-tṛptaś mānavaḥ ātmany eva santuṣṭas tasya kāryaṁ na vidyate. There we go. One who is, however, taking pleasure in the self, who is illuminated in the self, who rejoices in and is satisfied with the self only, fully satiated. With the self only, fully satiated. For him, there is no duty. Side note, I just realized it uses repetition, the translation. I'm not sure if it's in the manuscript. Yeah. But the translation is using repetition. It says self 3 times, which 3 is the I think the magic number or some when you're writing. You're right, like I think it's the rule of 3s. Yeah. 2 isn't as good as 3, and 4 is too much. 2 isn't enough, 3 is good, 4 is too much. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in live, or if you're watching afterwards, to the daily Bhagavad-gita class. I will be back tomorrow for another I'll be back tomorrow for 318. And yeah, if you're liking any of the content that we do, tag your friends, share it around. Can get some more people viewing our stuff. And yeah, I'm not sure what time it is wherever, but it is a good night for me. But good morning or good evening to everyone else. I will see you next time. Param vidyate Sri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Kṛṣṇa. Farewell.